People call me lucky, lucky to be born with intelligence, lucky to arrive in America, lucky to meet Thomas Scott, lucky to invest at the right time, lucky to be in the steel industry when it exploded, lucky to sell at the peak, lucky, lucky, lucky. Everything explained by luck, everything attributed to chance, everything dismissed as fortunate timing and random circumstance. This is how people explain success they do not understand. They call it luck, they attribute it to chance, they dismiss it as random fortune, they refuse to see the patterns, the preparation, the decisions, the discipline, the work, the strategy, the choices made thousands of times over decades that created what looks like luck to those who were not there. I was not lucky. I was deliberate. I was strategic. I was prepared. I was disciplined. I was relentless. I made decisions that created opportunities that looked like luck. I positioned myself where luck could find me. I prepared for opportunities before they appeared. I created circumstances that produced results that seem fortunate to people who do not understand how they were created. Let me tell you why success has nothing to do with luck, why what appears random is actually systematic, why what seems like chance is actually choice, why what looks like fortune is actually preparation, why people who call successful people lucky are missing everything important about how success actually works. Success is not random, success is systematic, success is not chance, success is choice, success is not luck, success is preparation meeting opportunity, and preparation is not luck, opportunity is not luck, and the meeting is not luck, none of it is luck. All of it is deliberate action over time, creating results that seem sudden to people who are not watching. Luck is random. Success is not random. People say I was lucky to be born intelligent. This is not luck. This is genetics. This is biology. This is circumstance of birth. And intelligence alone does not create success. The factory I worked in had intelligent boys. The telegraph office had intelligent operators, the business world had intelligent men, most of them died poor or mediocre. Intelligence did not make them successful. Intelligence is necessary but not sufficient. Intelligence is potential, not outcome, not success, not wealth, just potential. And potential without activation is nothing. I activated my potential. I used my intelligence. I applied it systematically. I directed it toward goals. I deployed it strategically. I leveraged it consistently. I turned potential into action, action into results, results into wealth. This was not luck. This was choice. Choice to use what I had, choice to develop what I was given, choice to apply potential instead of wasting it. Most people waste their potential. They have intelligence but never use it strategically. They have capability but never develop it systematically. They have advantages but never leverage them deliberately. And then they see someone who used their potential and call it luck, call it chance, call it random fortune, because they cannot see the 10,000 choices that turned potential into outcome, the 1,000 applications, the 100 strategies, the decades of deliberate development. Success is not being born with advantages. Success is using the advantages you have, not luck, choice, not chance, action, not random, systematic. Born with intelligence is circumstance. Using intelligence systematically is choice, and choice is not luck. I was also born poor in a country that was not America, with a father who became obsolete, with no connections, no wealth, no education, no advantages except a brain, and a mother who refused to let me believe poverty was permanent. These circumstances were not lucky. These circumstances were difficult, hard, limiting. Most people born in these circumstances stayed in these circumstances because circumstances are not determinative. Circumstances are just starting points. What you do with circumstances is what matters, and what you do is choice. not luck. People say I was lucky to come to America. This was not luck, this was decision. My family decided to emigrate, decided to leave Scotland, decided to take the risk, decided to cross the ocean, decided to start over. This was choice, difficult choice, scary choice, uncertain choice, but choice, not luck, not random chance. Deliberate decision made in difficult circumstances, hoping for better outcome. Choice that could have failed. Choice that involved risk, but choice nonetheless. And choice is not luck. Luck is winning a lottery, finding money on the street, being born into wealth, inheriting fortune, random circumstance that benefits you without action, without choice, without effort, without decision, just random fortune, just chance, just being in the right place at the right time without doing anything to be in that place at that time. Success is different. Success is positioning yourself deliberately, preparing systematically, choosing strategically, acting consistently, building methodically, creating results through thousands of choices over decades. Nothing random, nothing chance, nothing lucky, just deliberate, systematic action, creating outcomes that look sudden to observers who did not see the preparation. Luck is being in the right place at the right time by accident. Success is being in the right place at the right time by design. People say I was lucky to meet Thomas Scott. This was not luck, this was positioning. I positioned myself as a telegraph messenger where I would encounter successful businessmen. I learned Morse code so I could become an operator where I would work with decision makers. I studied how business worked so I could contribute intelligently when opportunities arose. I made myself useful so I would be noticed. I demonstrated capability so I would be remembered. I showed judgment so I would be trusted. I positioned myself systematically in places where opportunity could find me. Thomas Scott did not randomly discover me. I put myself where Scott could see me. I made myself someone Scott would notice. I demonstrated value Scott would appreciate. I showed capability Scott would use. I created the conditions where Scott would invest in developing me. This was not accident. This was strategy. This was systematic positioning. This was deliberate preparation. This was creating the circumstances where connection could happen. And connection happened because I positioned for it, prepared for it, made myself ready for it, made myself valuable for it, created the conditions for it. This is not luck. This is strategy. People who call this luck see the connection, see Scott mentoring me, see opportunities flowing from that relationship, but they do not see the positioning, the preparation, the choices that created the connection, the systematic development that made me someone worth mentoring, the deliberate action that put me in places where mentors existed, the years of preparation before the moment of connection. They see the outcome and call it luck. They miss the process and miss everything. Luck is random connection, random encounter, random relationship, being in a place you had no reason to be, meeting someone you had no reason to meet, connecting for reasons you did not create, random fortune, random chance, random circumstance. Success is strategic positioning, deliberate placement, systematic development, being in places you chose to be, meeting people you positioned to meet, connecting because you created value, prepared capability, demonstrated usefulness, made yourself worth knowing, created the conditions where connection was likely, probable, almost certain, given enough time, not random, strategic, not lucky, systematic. I met Scott because I positioned to meet people like Scott. I worked in places where people like Scott worked. I developed skills people like Scott valued. I demonstrated qualities people like Scott appreciated. I created circumstances where meeting someone like Scott was probable. And when the meeting happened, I was ready, prepared, capable, useful, worth investing in. The meeting looked lucky. The meeting was strategic. Years of strategy culminating in a moment that seemed sudden, that seemed fortunate, that seemed like chance, but was actually the inevitable result of systematic positioning over years. People say I was lucky to invest at the right time. This was not luck, this was analysis. When I invested in Adams Express, I did not randomly choose it. I studied it, I analysed the business model, I understood the market, I assessed the competition, I evaluated the management, I calculated the potential returns, I measured the risks, I made a decision based on information, based on understanding, based on analysis, not based on luck, not based on chance, not based on random hope, based on systematic evaluation of opportunity. This is what successful people do. They analyze, they study, they understand, they calculate, they make informed decisions, they do not gamble, they do not hope, they do not randomly bet, they systematically evaluate, carefully calculate, thoughtfully decide, based on information, based on analysis, based on understanding. People who lose money call it bad luck. People who make money call it good luck. People on the outside call both luck, but neither is luck. Losing money is poor analysis or poor execution or poor timing. Making money is good analysis and good execution and good timing. Neither is random. Both are result of decision quality, analysis quality, execution quality, timing quality, all skill, all judgment, all deliberate action, none luck. I made money on Adams Express because I analysed well, because I understood the business, because I assessed the opportunity correctly, because I calculated risk accurately, because I made an informed decision based on systematic analysis. This was not luck, this was skill, skill at analysis, skill at evaluation, skill at judgment, skill at decision making, skill developed over time, skill applied systematically, skill producing results that look lucky to people who do not understand that investment success is skill, not chance. People say I was lucky to be in steel when it exploded. This was not luck. This was foresight. I did not randomly end up in steel. I chose steel deliberately, strategically, after studying industries, after analysing opportunities, after understanding where technology was going, after recognising that steel would replace iron, after seeing that the Bessemer process would make steel affordable, after calculating that America would need massive amounts of steel for infrastructure, after evaluating that steel production would be the defining industry of the era, after systematic analysis of where opportunity would be, I chose steel, not randomly, strategically, based on foresight, based on analysis, based on understanding, based on deliberate choice. This is what successful people do. They study trends, they analyze technologies, they understand markets, they see where opportunity will be, they position before the crowd arrives, they choose strategically, they act deliberately, they create outcomes that look lucky to people who did not see the analysis, did not understand the foresight, did not recognize the strategic choice, did not appreciate the deliberate positioning. Steel did not randomly explode while I happened to be there. I positioned in steel because I analysed that steel would explode. I prepared for the explosion. I built capacity for the explosion. I created systems that could capture value when the explosion happened. And when the explosion happened, I was ready, not lucky, ready, prepared, positioned, capable, systematic, strategic, deliberate, everything except lucky. People say I was lucky to sell at the peak. This was not luck, this was timing. I did not randomly decide to sell when I did. I analysed market conditions, I studied consolidation trends, I recognised that the era of independent operators was ending, I understood that trusts were forming, I calculated that my company was worth maximum value at that moment, I evaluated that holding longer would not increase value. I made a deliberate decision to sell based on systematic analysis of timing. This was judgment, this was analysis, this was strategy, this was skill, not luck, not chance, not random fortune. Timing is skill, timing is analysis, timing is judgment, timing is understanding when to act, when to hold, when to buy, when to sell, when to enter, when to exit. Timing is developed through study, through experience, through analysis, through paying attention, through understanding cycles, through recognizing patterns, through systematic observation, through deliberate learning. Timing is skill, not luck. I sold at the peak because I understood timing, because I analysed market conditions, because I recognised the moment, because I made a deliberate decision based on systematic evaluation. This was not luck. This was the culmination of decades of developing timing skill, of studying markets, of understanding cycles, of recognizing patterns, of learning when to act, of building judgment, of creating the capability to time decisions well. None luck, all skill, all deliberate development, all systematic learning applied at the moment of decision. Success looks sudden, success is gradual. This is why people call success luck, because they see the outcome, they see the moment, they see the success, but they do not see the preparation, they do not see the years, they do not see the choices, they do not see the discipline, they do not see the systematic development, they do not see the thousands of decisions, the hundreds of preparations, the decades of building. They see the culmination and call it luck. They miss the process and miss everything. My success was not sudden. My success was 50 years in the making, 50 years of choices, 50 years of preparation, 50 years of positioning, 50 years of learning, 50 years of building, 50 years of discipline, 50 years of systematic action toward goals, 50 years of deliberate development, 50 years of strategic choices compounding into outcomes. Nothing sudden, everything gradual, everything systematic, everything deliberate, everything earned through choices made thousands of times over decades. But to observers, it looked sudden. Bobbin boy to billionaire, factory worker to richest man, poor immigrant to wealthiest person alive. It looks like transformation, like leap, like sudden change, like luck, like random fortune, like being in the right place at the right time, like chance, like accident, like luck, but it was none of those things. It was systematic development over decades. It was choices compounding. It was preparation meeting opportunity. It was positioning creating possibility. It was discipline producing outcomes. It was strategic action over time creating results. It was 50 years of deliberate choices creating what looks like sudden success, what looks like luck, what looks like chance, but was actually the opposite, was actually systematic, was actually deliberate, was actually earned, was actually built, was actually created through thousands of choices over 50 years. People who call this luck are not seeing clearly. They are seeing the outcome without understanding the process. They are seeing the moment without appreciating the preparation. They are seeing the success without recognizing the choices that created it. They are calling luck what is actually systematic action over decades. They are calling chance what is actually deliberate choice over years. They are calling random what is actually strategic. They are calling lucky what is actually earned. Success has nothing to do with luck because success is systematic, not random. Luck is winning a lottery, 1 in a million, random, unpredictable, unrepeatable. You cannot systematically win lotteries. You cannot deliberately create lottery wins. You cannot prepare for lottery success. You cannot position for lottery outcomes. Lotteries are pure luck, pure chance, pure random fortune, no skill, no preparation, no strategy, just random selection, just chance, just luck. Success is the opposite. Success is repeatable. Success is systematic. Success is deliberate. Successful people succeed repeatedly. They build one business, then another. They make one fortune, then another. They create one outcome, then another, because success is skill, success is strategy, success is systematic action, and skill can be applied repeatedly, strategy can be deployed repeatedly, systematic action can be taken repeatedly, creating repeated success, not random, not luck, not chance, systematic, deliberate, repeatable. I could have built another steel company, could have created another fortune, could have succeeded in another industry, because my success was not luck. My success was systematic approach, deliberate strategy, developed skills, built judgment, created capabilities, all repeatable, all deployable in different contexts, all applicable to different opportunities, all systematic, all deliberate, all the opposite of luck. People who succeed once by luck cannot repeat it. Lottery winners do not win again. Random fortune does not repeat. Chance does not systematically favour. Luck does not compound. But successful people succeed repeatedly because their success is not luck. Their success is systematic approach they can apply repeatedly, strategic thinking they can deploy repeatedly, developed skills they can use repeatedly, built capabilities they can leverage repeatedly, created patterns they can repeat repeatedly, nothing random, everything systematic, nothing lucky, everything deliberate. Success has nothing to do with luck, because luck requires no preparation and success requires enormous preparation. I prepared for 50 years, every day, every decision, every choice, every action, all preparation, preparing for opportunities before they appeared, preparing capabilities before they were needed, preparing knowledge before it was required, preparing resources before they were deployed, preparing positioning before it mattered, preparing everything all the time for decades, systematically, deliberately, constantly, always preparing, always positioning, always developing, always learning, always building, always creating the conditions where success could happen, where opportunity could be seized, where results could be achieved, always preparing, never lucky, always systematic, never random, always deliberate, never chance. Luck requires no preparation. Lottery winners do not prepare. Random fortune requires no readiness. Chance favours unprepared and prepared equally. Luck is independent of preparation, but success is entirely dependent on preparation. Success only comes to those who prepare, who position, who develop, who learn, who build, who create the conditions, who make themselves ready, who systematically develop capabilities, who deliberately position themselves, who constantly prepare for opportunities. Success requires preparation, and preparation is not luck. Preparation is choice. Preparation is discipline. Preparation is systematic action. Preparation is the opposite of luck. Success has nothing to do with luck, because luck is passive and success is active. Luck happens to you, you do nothing, you wait, you hope, you receive. Passive, no action, no choice, no effort, just waiting, just hoping, just receiving random fortune if it comes. Passive, reactive, dependent on external randomness, no agency, no control, no power, just waiting for luck, just hoping for chance, just receiving if fortune favours. Passive, completely passive. Success is active. You create it, you build it, you choose it, you work for it, you prepare for it, you position for it, you develop for it, you act, you choose, you decide, you execute, you persist, you learn, you adapt, you continue. Active, completely active. you create outcomes, you build results, you make success happen, not waiting, not hoping, not depending on random fortune, creating, building, choosing, acting, doing, everything active, nothing passive, everything created, nothing received, everything built, nothing random, everything deliberate, everything active, everything the opposite of luck. I did not wait for luck. I created outcomes. I did not hope for chance. I built results. I did not depend on random fortune. I made systematic choices. I did not passively receive. I actively created everything active, everything deliberate, everything chosen, everything built, everything created, everything earned, nothing random, nothing passive, nothing lucky, nothing chance, active creation of outcomes through systematic action over decades, the opposite of luck, the opposite of chance, the opposite of random, the opposite of passive, active, deliberate, systematic, created, built, earned. Success has nothing to do with luck because successful people create their luck. People say I was lucky. They mean I experienced favourable circumstances, random fortune, chance benefits, things going my way without effort. This is not what happened. What happened is I created favourable circumstances. I positioned to receive benefits. I prepared for chances. I made things go my way through systematic action. I created what looks like luck, what feels like luck, what people call luck, but is not luck, is created outcomes, is positioned circumstances, is prepared opportunities, is systematic action producing results that look random but are not random, are deliberate, are created, are built, are earned. Successful people create their luck by positioning where opportunity can find them, by preparing so they can seize opportunity, by building capabilities they can deploy, by developing judgment they can apply, by creating resources they can leverage, by systematically preparing for the intersection of preparation and opportunity. And when the intersection occurs, observers call it luck, call it chance, call it random fortune. But the successful person knows it was not luck, was not chance, was not random, was prepared, was positioned, was ready, was capable, was systematic, was deliberate, was created, was everything except luck. I created what people call my luck. I positioned where opportunities existed. I prepared capabilities I could deploy. I built resources I could leverage. I developed judgment I could apply. I created circumstances where success was probable, where results were likely, where outcomes were predictable given enough time and enough attempts. Not certain, but probable. Much more probable than random chance, much more probable than luck. Probable because of systematic preparation, because of deliberate positioning, because of created circumstances, because of everything I did to make luck more likely, to make success more probable, to make outcomes more predictable, not luck, created probability, systematic development of favourable conditions, deliberate positioning for opportunity, prepared readiness for action, everything except luck, everything systematic, everything deliberate, everything created, everything built, everything earned through choices made thousands of times over decades. This is why success has nothing to do with luck, because success is systematic, not random, because success is repeatable, not one time, because success is built through preparation, not received through chance, because success is active, not passive, because success is created, not given, because successful people create favourable circumstances through systematic action over decades, while unsuccessful people wait for luck that never comes. Luck is random. Success is systematic. Luck is chance. Success is choice. Luck is passive. Success is active. Luck is received. Success is created. Luck is unrepeatable. Success is repeatable. Luck requires no preparation. Success requires enormous preparation. Luck is sudden. Success is gradual. Luck is independent of skill. Success is entirely dependent on skill. Luck is being in the right place at the right time by accident. Success is being in the right place at the right time by design. I was not lucky. I was systematic. I was not fortunate. I was prepared. I was not randomly blessed. I was deliberately positioned. I was not accidentally successful. I was strategically successful. Everything deliberate, everything systematic, everything prepared, everything positioned, everything created, everything built, everything earned, nothing random, nothing chance, nothing lucky. Success through systematic action over 50 years. Success through thousands of choices. Success through decades of preparation. Success through positioning and readiness and capability and judgment. Success through everything except luck. People call successful people lucky because they do not want to see the work, do not want to acknowledge the preparation, do not want to recognize the choices, do not want to admit that success is systematic. Because if success is systematic, then their lack of success is also systematic, is their own choices, is their own lack of preparation, is their own lack of positioning, is their own lack of discipline, is their own lack of systematic action, is not bad luck, is not unfortunate circumstances, is not random misfortune, is their own choices, their own actions, their own lack of preparation, their own lack of systematic development. It is easier to call success luck, easier to attribute it to chance, easier to dismiss it as random fortune, easier than admitting that successful people made thousands of choices over decades that created outcomes that look lucky but are not lucky, are earned, are built, are systematic, are deliberate, are created, are the result of preparation meeting opportunity, where preparation was developed systematically and opportunity was positioned for deliberately. Success has nothing to do with luck. Success is systematic action over time, creating outcomes that look sudden but are gradual, that look random but are deliberate, that look lucky but are earned, that look like chance but are choice, that look like fortune but are built, that look like accident but are strategy, that look like luck but are everything except luck. I was not lucky. I was prepared. I was not fortunate. I was positioned. I was not accidentally successful. I was systematically successful. And you can be too. Not through luck, not through chance, not through random fortune, but through systematic action, through deliberate choice, through strategic positioning, through constant preparation, through developed capabilities, through built judgment, through created circumstances, through decades of choices, through thousands of preparations, through years of positioning, through everything that creates success, which is everything except luck. Success has nothing to do with luck. Success has everything to do with systematic, deliberate, prepared, positioned, strategic, active, created, built, earned, chosen, developed, learned, adapted, persistent, relentless, disciplined, focused, purposeful, meaningful, intentional action over decades, creating outcomes that look lucky to observers but feel earned to those who built them. That is success. That is what I did. That is what successful people do. That is what you can do, not through luck, through systematic action, not through chance, through deliberate choice, not through random fortune, through prepared positioning, not through luck, through everything except luck.